Yo, what up? As the title suggests, I have been drawing for 1 hour every day for a month, over a month by now. It's exactly a month and 10 days. Um, so 40 days, and I do miss one day out of the week so I can make these videos. So I draw at least 6 hours a week, usually more, a lot more, but for the sake of simplicity, it's 1 hour per day. And I usually spend an hour making these videos anyway, and they're about drawing, so I count that. But I wanted to make this video because it's been over a month, and I've stayed consistent with it, and I wanted to just put all my drawings up from the beginning to, yesterday's drawing, see some improvement, and then talk about what I've learned about drawing and about myself and in general just by doing this consistently for a month. So hopefully this is something you enjoy. It's been about 50 hours, probably more, but 50 hours of drawing in a month. It's not like a full-time job or anything, definitely more of a hobby. But I just wanted to show like what kind of improvement an average person might expect after 50 hours of doing something. I know the prize goal is like 10,000 hours to master anything, and 50 hours seems like, a pebble or a grain of sand in a beach to that number, but you gotta start somewhere. So hopefully you enjoy. I'm gonna put up all my drawings and just talk about what I've learned. So yeah, peace. So I'm gonna rant for a little bit. The pictures are gonna go up in order. There's about 20 of them. They will get better the longer you stay. So there's a little incentive for you to stay till the end. If you just want to look at the pictures, you can skip ahead. But I'm going to talk about the things that I've learned throughout this whole process. Yeah. So the first thing I learned was that my attention span is garbage. This sort of thing truly is a good way to train your attention span. Drawing is a slow process, and it's boring if you let it be, but exciting if you stick with it. At the beginning, the hour per day was a struggle, and towards the end, I was sitting down for 2, 3, 4 hours at a time, which was crazy progress. The last drawing I did took me about 6.5 hours, and the second to last drawing I did took me about 4 hours. So there's some progress, and you will see it in the drawings because I just put more time into them as they get further along. I was getting really antsy and restless when I was drawing. Felt like I was supposed to be doing something else. But in reality, that something else would probably just be scrolling social media and not doing anything productive. So that was something I had to overcome early on. I feel like most people's attention spans aren't that good. Like, we deal with a lot of instant gratification and everything's so quick and instant. It's just hard to kind of rewire yourself from that, and doing an hour a day of something like this helps. And then doing that for a month every day is even more difficult. It's hard to do it for one day, and then to keep doing it is the hardest part. I feel like that's the problem with anything anyone tries to do. When you set a goal, it's not that hard to do it for one day, but the hard part is getting up and doing it again, and then again, and then again, and then again. And especially when you don't want to. That's like the hardest part. So yeah, that was another tough part. it made me realize the difference between motivation and discipline. And I kind of learned this before, but this is where you could see it in action, is that motivation is fleeting, and it's kind of like a day by day, and it's not guaranteed to be there. But the way you overcome that is through discipline, by forcing yourself to do it. And I think that's a learned skill, and it's one of the skills that comes with doing something like this, sitting down and doing something for an hour a day, because you bypass the days when you don't have any motivation to do it. Some days you wake up and you're like, man, I'm gonna get a lot done. I feel motivated to be healthy, whatever it is, I'm feeling it today. But that doesn't happen every day. And the days you're not feeling it, the way you get through it is by training yourself through discipline. Doing a minimum requirement every single day, no matter what mood you're in. And that is more of a broad life thing, but it's something that I've learned recently. So on the technical side of drawing, something that I learned, it's kind of specific to my style of drawing, whereas I use a pen and paper, and that's it. No pencils, no erasers. There's no going back. Once you put your pen down and make a line, it's staying on the paper, which I personally love. But it makes you think about the approach differently. It forces you to think differently. And the thing that I learned is that you have to think in terms of front to back. So whatever picture you're drawing, you really have to think about what's closest to you, and then work your way back by adding layers and layers and layers. And if you draw something early on, something that I picked up is just to leave holes in the outlines. And by leaving holes in the outlines, it just left me room to add stuff in the foreground, in front of it, while overlapping the outlines. It gives it some more depth. The drawing on the right side here is kind of a good example. Take one of the white like spiral things, just look at one of them, and then look at what's layered on top of it. There's usually something on top of it. So like, that's an example of leaving gaps in the drawing. Like I left gaps so I could overlap something, just in case of the possibility. Like I leave the possibility out there for me to overlap it with something. Hopefully that makes sense. But it's really like, it makes you think in a different way when you only use a pen and you want to add depth, because 2D is kind of boring, and the more 3D and more depth and overlapping things you have, the more interesting typically the drawing will be. So yeah, I hope that made sense. I would say the last thing I learned is to be careful with comparison. I would look at a lot of other artists for inspiration, and just to kind of compare. It's kind of natural to compare your own work to other artists' work, and since I make videos, I like to learn what videos perform well and how people like kind of package their art to put on the internet. But it's really dangerous to compare your stuff to other people's work, because you have no idea how many hours they've put into their craft, and it's usually more than you, or at least more than me, because I have not put that many hours into this. And if I look at another professional artist's stuff, they probably have hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands more hours than I do, and it's really easy to get discouraged and think, wow, my art's not as good as theirs, or will never be as good as theirs. It's just like dangerous to think about. So you kind of have to be careful and cut out some of your context by like not consuming too much content of other people's. Just kind of stay in your own world, and I really think that helps you like create your own lane rather than copy a bunch of other people's stuff. But yeah, we're wrapping this up. The screen's about to go black. Let me know if you like this sort of thing. These are the last 2 drawings that I've done. I was the most proud of them. I think they're the best. I think I've made a lot of progress from day 1. But yeah, if you've made it this far into the video, thank you a lot. You could give me some feedback. You could rip apart my art. Tell me what I need to do better. I really need feedback in my life. Yeah. I love you. Thanks for watching. Till next time. Peace.